Hello, good morning. So I got really pumped working on the project. So I've been doing that. Let's see. I'm just gonna kick off something before we continue. Oops. Let's see. I'm just gonna kick off something first. State harness. So we need to enable passing images to the provider, or the, I guess, LLM through the provider. Could you do some research here and see how we can enable that? Anyways, so I thought about this image we created here. What's the shortcut for this one? Hand. And this is V hand. Okay. Like we talked about how LLMs started as like they were trained on all these documents on the web, and when you gave it like a few words, it would kind of continue writing a document. That's how they started. And then with I don't know the story here, but at some point they tuned that LLM to rather become a conversationalist, meaning that it wouldn't treat its input as like the start of a document. It would treat it as like a dialogue, basically, like a script. And then it would kind of fill in the next part of that script, where the script is like the user and the LLM itself. So that's where all the magic happened, right? That's when it felt like you were actually talking to someone, which still is an incredible experience. And then we got tool calls, but it's not this way. So tool calls enable the LLM to ask for information and retrieve it automatically, right? So instead of you sending "how are you" and you getting "fine, how are you" back, like pure text, the LLM was able to pass like a tool call back, and then automatically. Oh, wait a minute! I thought this was the user. Yeah. Okay. So this is actually correct. Sorry. Yeah, whatever. Let's do this. So, yeah. And then it's got the ability to, instead of responding with text, they could respond with a tool call, basically JSON. And then, depending on what's on the other side, probably an agent harness, that's going to take that input, do something, and then send some output back, and then moving things along. Now, the thing we are talking about is we're dropping the conversation part completely. We're basically only relying on tool calls. Maybe I should do this. We're only relying on tool calls and a shared state. So technically, the LLM gets two tools. It's a set state tool and a get state tool. And then you have a schema that defines that state. And what happens now is that the LLM becomes a true tool. It doesn't communicate as a person, which is incredible for certain experiences. But when it comes to like coding and like basically doing tool jobs, I don't think that's the way you want to interact with them. At least it's not how you collaborate with one, as we also talked about. Collaboration is to have shared access to an artifact that you can manipulate together. That's collaboration. But the way we use LLMs is that they own the artifacts and you just tell them what to do. That's not collaboration. But if you have this shared state object that the LLM can change, you can change it, and it's shared between you, then it becomes by definition collaboration. And then you can define that, okay, there's certain state that only I can change. And that also gives you like guardrails and things like that. Anyways, so when you interact by state, you can use this state to derive a UI. And this UI can be interacted with to manipulate the state, just as we know from working on apps. So what I did, I can't remember where we were last time, but let's see, is there something I can do? Let's see. Yeah, maybe we can add a filter. We can try that while I'm working on something else. Let's see. Oh, always allow bypass permissions. Damn it. Yeah, because I wanna. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the preview. But let's try something first. So let's say I wanna add. Filters to the to-dos. The way this application works, it works just like kind of like a harness, like a CLI basically, but instead of being an actual TUI, terminal UI, it's an Electron app. And then inspired by PyDev, instead of creating extensions, you create agents. And what's unique about these agents is that, like, yeah, how should I put this? So the cool thing about PyDev extensions is that you can hook into like adding tools. You can actually create custom UI and everything. And it's the same idea here, but it didn't feel right to call it extensions because they are literally agents. But each agent can produce their own UI. And they can have their own tools. And for example, for the planning agent, and they have their state schema. So for the planning agent, for example, it has a state schema that gives a list of tasks, resources it used to create those tasks, and then clarifications. So we can try something now. So I want to add filters to, sorry. So I want to add a filter feature to the to-dos list. So I can move between completed, incompleted, and all my to-dos. So as I said, like everything's about state, but you can still interact with it using natural language, but that natural language doesn't result in language back. It results in state changes. And then you can have interactive tools that more efficiently manipulates that state. So let's see what happens now. How should the user shape change? Replace our text string with. Yeah, just do the right thing. Send run covers the direct ask tools. Oh. Oh, that's fine. Do it all. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so what happened now is that it created, like, it does everything that you would expect from like an agent, but instead of telling you I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and then give you a big piece of text, it produces this state that that this agent, like the whole point of these agents is that you can create your own, right? And the app ships with like UI components and everything. We can dive more into that when we're further along, but anyways, it lists the tasks. Currently you can't edit them, but I could enable that, but you can delete them. So that's like what I mean about interacting. Instead of like writing to it, oh, drop doing that thing, you just click it, right? And then what I find really interesting is how did it come to this, like what did it actually find in the database and on the web and whatever to suggest these tasks? Like what's actually in its mind? Something that's completely hidden in a conversation. So it tells me exactly which files it read, what it took from each of these files. And then it has clarifications and what default filter. I want to have all to-dos. And then should the chosen filter persist across page or reset? Yeah, reset to default. So you see, like there's this mix of interactivity, and if I wanted to do something, I can still write to it and it's gonna update the state, right? And then that's what this agent does. It's only about planning, and you can like focus a complete experience around, okay, how do you create good plans? How do you create a good experience? What's the state that best explains a plan? And you can just design like a really, really good experience around that, as if you would design any other application. And then we can have a completely different agent, which is the implement agent. And what's interesting about this is that you can choose to go straight to the implement agent, given that maybe there's a simple task or whatever. But in this case, I have this plan, and now I can choose to go and grab state from another agent. So I'm going to go and grab it from planning. And the only thing that happens now is that this agent gets the state schema and the current state of the planning agent. And by that becomes a very like detailed prompt, right? So now it says which files it's going to touch and what it's going to do within each of those files. And this UI doesn't look amazing, but it's something. So I can run the steps here. It's going to run each of them. And that's also part of this agent, is that this button is implemented in the UI of this agent. And you can, in the UI, you don't only get access to the state schema of that agent, you get access to the runtime, I was about to say, like the actual running of the agent. So you can listen to when it completes tool calls. It's going to stop whenever it sets new state. That's what defines like a loop. So in this case, we see that it stops because it changed the state. And then we look at that state. Okay, did it actually succeed successfully? Did it actually succeed? And then we kick it off automatically. Like, okay, go and do the next thing. But this could be a different experience. This could be, okay, apply. And then when you click apply, maybe it opens VS Code so you can go and look at the code changes as you're making them. For example, like there's many things you could do here. But as you can see, there's no like conversation here. I'm just using like UI to move things forward. And then I was playing around with this preview agent. And all it does is when I start the preview, I just prompt the agent to go and start the dev server. And it figures out where's the dev server. And then it starts it. Yeah, this is gonna be nice. So we're gonna make some changes here. You see the text is wrong. So we can try to use the next change I'm gonna make to fix that. Now, and you can say, what about automating this stuff? Like let the agent run on its own. Yeah, maybe that's it. It's more likely that we're heading that way. than us using a tool like this. But it's this fear that if you don't have any insights into the planning, how things are implemented, is that sustainable? Yeah, I don't know. It's so funny. I'm so easily convinced. I was looking at a video this morning on Boris, and I can't remember her name, but she's the product lead on Claude Code. And they're just talking about it as the most amazing thing. Like, yeah, I have 1,000 agents running. Like, literally, he says he has 1,000 agents running. And you just have to make them validate or create a validation loop, and they'll go on their own. And I don't sit and wait for an agent. I just go to the next task, and it just sounds so wonderful, right? But they have unlimited resources. And they're a company that creates this technology. So all the processes, everything around it is around that piece of technology. But other companies, like, we're just not like that. It takes a lot of convincing to go in and actually build things that way. And it costs a shit ton of money to do that. And yeah, it feels like someone's trying to offer you drugs or something. You're gonna regret it later. Okay, one note: changing the user message from text to content is technically a breaking change. Okay, but that's probably fine. Okay, great. Could you build the project? And then I'm gonna try using it in a different project that I have locally here. Of course I trust it. Oh my god, 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 oh my god. Like, now, I'm not jumping around, right? Like, I'm sitting here waiting for the fucking thing to complete. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So I want to move to the web view version. I just built a new version of the State Agent SDK. It has some changes to the messages type, so you need to be aware of that. But it should support images now. So if we could change the web view and implement the ability to capture the thing that we like highlight with our annotation, and then we're gonna actually pass this. Yeah, I'm curious, how are we gonna do this? Like, so, okay, to take the full journey, I'm on the preview, I'm annotating. I have some state that reflects that annotation. It has some text, and it has an image. Does it have a reference to the image on disk? Because if I then go to implement, for example, and I bring in the state from the preview, or basically the annotations, is it going to be able to send that image to the agent? Yeah, I'm curious how this is going to work. Oh, we have a full context window. Probably going to compress it. Yeah. while it's working on that though, so the thing is you can annotate this. So I can go in here, but currently you can't like type anything. Sorry, you it doesn't take an actual picture. So we need to change that. And I'm thinking that this whole thing should really take up as much space as possible. So we're gonna take up the full view here, and then on the right side, that's gonna be like the controls for the preview, and it's gonna show the annotations and stuff, because it looks a little bit weird now. Yeah. Oh, this is gonna take some time, I think. But yeah, other things I want to do here as well. I want to make tasks editable, so you can just change the text. Implement is interesting. I thought about how that could be done differently. Not differently, but more empowering. But you can, like, back to the question of like, how do you really want this to work? It's kind of like me giving that initial prompt and then get away from my computer, and then I'll get a ping on my phone or whatever, and then I have a PR up, and it actually works because Claude was able to open the app, see that the button had this problem, and actually go and fix it, right? So this experience heavily leans on you as a user to do the validation and everything. You just get good tools to do so, and you get good tools to inform the agent about what's happening and how you want it to work. But that is the thing that builds context for you, right? That's the thing that actually makes you feel like you own the implementation. So yeah, I'm really curious where things are heading. Are we all gonna sit there and just have these autonomous agents that's gonna write code for us, and all the like product teams becomes completely flat, like everybody does product engineering and design using agents? Or do we still have cross-functional teams? Someone is product manager, someone is engineer, and so on, but they just use AI individually in their work. And maybe we'll have both. Maybe this is gonna be like one of those things where you apply for a new job, you're curious about the culture and how people work. Like, what tools are you using? Are you using Linear or are you using Jira, for example? And this becomes the new thing where you ask, okay, to what degree are you using AI? Am I just gonna be an engineer here that sits and prompts Claude and updates its skills and instructions? Or am I actually gonna like own and be responsible for the output? Yeah, I'm very curious where things are going. Oh, you ready, Oliver? Wait. Oh, are you? Oh, anything you change? Okay, sorry. One before, what gets kept? Just the cropped highlighted region. User data annotations. Okay, so to answer your questions, only capture the thing you annotate, right? The cropped thing. And yeah, images should temporarily live on user data and get cleaned up when just clean them up with currently just clean them up when we clean up the session. Like we have this clear button, clean up these images as well. And then we'll have to talk later about like multi-session stuff. We haven't implemented that yet. So one caveat to flag, WebView is heavier than an iframe and a bit fuzzy. Okay, but let's just try WebView so I can see it. Go ahead and build it. Where were we? Yeah, so these different agents, they would the whole point is that whatever task you have, there's different approaches to it. So there's not like one generic way of doing things here. You kind of go in, you choose the agent you want to interact with to figure something out, and then you can take the state of that agent and move that into another agent. So you might have a debug agent, for example, that goes and grabs logs and stuff. But again, like it's just state, and you decide exactly how that's going to look like, how you should be able to interact with it, and all this stuff. That's the thing I like here, is that it's not a conversation. It's an actual UI. It feels the way it should be for me. But I think the thing that's kind of in my mind is, okay, if everyone's just heading for autonomous agents anyways, this doesn't really matter. But we're going to push for it, that's for sure. And I guess we should really... what was I going to say? Yeah, just use the tool and see how it feels like. User cleanup on clear. Okay, this is going to take a little bit of time. So maybe we could talk about some other kinds of agents that would make sense. So one, yeah, I'm not sure. Because I think also with the web view, we would be able to go and get the runtime errors. So we can just pick them up and put them into state, right? Yeah, that's something. Yeah, I kind of want to iterate on the preview. It's just going to take some time to get that thing in first. Yeah, so that's something we need. Maybe we can take a look at that in the chat. So I'm playing around with Electron web view. As I understand, I can take pictures from it. Also, I'm curious, can I pick up on runtime errors? That would be cool. Now we can pick up on those and we can display them in the state there. Both are doable. Yeah, I kind of want to commit to this, that we're not going to automate the agent. So there's different paths you can take with AI, right? You can try to go down the automation path, which is just incredibly hard to do. And it's not only on you, right? You can have a very capable agent, but if the consuming end doesn't really set up an environment for it to work, then it doesn't really matter. And which one depends on how structured you need the data. Oh, this is amazing. Huh. Yeah, we're gonna do this. This is gonna be cool. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so that's one path. And then this is the other path, I think. Like, I guess you could split them into async and sync interactions with AI. And the thing is, this doesn't even feel like AI. This feels like building an app, right? It's just a different kind of IDE where you don't actually write the code, and you can use natural language to describe what you want. But it feels like a tool. And that's what I want AI to be. I want it to be a tool. How are you doing, Claude? Yes, I would want like a research agent as well. That would, so you can go in and ask something. I guess it would be kind of like planning. Yeah, what's the difference between planning and research? And that's the thing. Like, this is you kind of have this like super powerful tool now. You can build whatever you want. And the design here is what kinds of agents do you implement. And that's kind of how I was thinking about this, is that we kind of just give these base primitives, which is the agent. Oh, sorry. Ability to create an agent, and these UI blocks. And then you go in and you create the experience that you want. And then, of course, we could ship with certain agents. And then you can even implement, like, you don't have MCP servers or anything like that. You just use tools, and you design exactly how those tools should work, how you authenticate with them. And these agent files, they are loaded dynamically when this app starts. So if you create like a state agent folder with extensions and you put like an agent in there, then that's going to be available here. So you can do the same thing. You can like start this as part of your project, and you can create your custom agents shared with everyone else. And but you actually build the UI for it. Yeah, maybe we can take a look at how these agents look like. Planning. Okay, so this is how the API currently looks like. So you have a name for the agent, you have a label for it, and this is the state. It doesn't need these default things anymore because I changed how it works. And then you can use tools. So this can reference internal tools. So we have read, bash, write, and edit. Oh yeah, I want to make another change. And then, state description. What's that? Oh, that's a weird thing. Not sure why we have that, because you have a description here. Okay, and then you have a system prompt. And then you have render. So here you get the state. Oh, it's called actions. That should be called tools. You have UI, which is basically the UI. And working. Oh, that's the flag for the agent. So you can use JSX here. Yeah. We can work on this later. I think that's going to be a cool demo to actually create an agent. Oh, something's happening. Oh, did it do it? Yeah, let's clear this up. Oh, yeah, let's clear this up. And let's add the preview agent. Let's start the preview. Let's see what happens. Not sure what it's doing here. Oh, nice. So we have the thing, and we can annotate. It's a little bit ugly. The color on wrong text color on selected filter. Yeah, and I think the annotations, like, we're gonna clean this up, given that this is actually working. So the point is that now we have this annotation, and if I go to the implement agent, let's see if I bring from the preview, let's see what happens. Now the thing is that I don't think I'm gonna be able to actually validate that it sends the image, because I have a pretty good description. Oh, interesting. Why does it do get state all the time? And I think there's a more efficient way to do get state as well. Like, to synchronize state, you might have like arrays in your state. Oh, interesting. It wasn't actually able to do anything. Oh, we need a log here. Yeah. I wonder what happened. Yeah, we need a log. Let's just try one more. Oh, interesting. Yeah, but I don't really know. Okay, we're gonna clear this, and we're gonna try something else. Oh, sorry. Let's start preview again. I'm only going to annotate. Cool. And then let's go to implement and see if it understands it. But I guess this is also like, why yeah, now it doesn't seem to get it. I think we need a log. Like in this case, I'm kind of just pointing out something the agent made a mistake on, which is kind of boring, right? You would want to automate that so it can like validate itself. Okay, that's... So it is not quite working, but I think we need to implement a log here. So I guess the best way to do this is that let's create a logs folder in the workspace that we're working in, like in the state agent workspace folder. Let's create a logs folder, and then whenever we like run an agent, we need to write a log for it, so I can see what's happening, like what tools are being called, and yeah, just log everything. Also clean up the logs when I hit the clear button or close the app. Yeah, and the way I want to do this is that you capture a piece of it, and then you get the annotation here, and you kind of type here instead. So you always have like a clean view of the app. Yeah, maybe there could be like a full screen thing here. That would be nice. Yeah, and there's a question like how many extensions could there be? Yeah, I don't know. One thing I want to implement though is like some kind of validation that is following like patterns and instructions. So if you have instructions in the project, is it actually following? What instructions are it following? Is it following? So also before we do any testing here, I want to change the layout a little bit for the preview. So I really just want the preview to be positioned to the far left and take up the full height of the view space, and no like border radius or anything, just take up the full space. And then we're gonna have a column on the right side, so that the preview takes up most space, but then we have a column on the right side which is gonna be the preview controls, like starting the preview, restarting it and stuff like that. And then when I capture annotations, I really just want to like capture by doing what I do now, like create a selection on the create a selection on the preview, but that's gonna instantly move into an annotation entry on the right side column. So we kind of have a list of annotations, and that's going to show the picture I took and then give me the ability to write some text related to that picture. And of course, delete the annotation. Does that make sense? Yeah, and then it's like interesting how, so this preview, for example, this is very specific for web apps. Like, what would you do for other things? And this is where like a huge ass community is creating MCP tools and all this stuff. Yeah, it looks like we're heading for an autonomous. Yeah, after summer, I'm gonna be working a bit differently. It's gonna be an interesting experience. I wonder how much of this is the tension of what I'm currently working on. Like, would I feel different if I had all the freedom in the world to use agents to do the work and really like power through with instructions and set up validation tools and all of this stuff? Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Did we ask anything else here? Oh, no, we have to remember this, that we're gonna have runtime logs. The cool thing about an app like this is that you can make it like a repository dependency. So you just kind of install it to the repository, and then that's where you create your agents and everything, and you also launch it from the repository. It's not like an app you download and install. Like Codex or something like that, which I think also makes a lot of sense. Also, we can make this look a lot nicer. Could use ShadCN or something. It's very interesting how, like, if you implement a user experience and then you let an agent do all the work and even test it, I don't know. There's just something about, one thing is if you're building an agent experience using an agent, then the agent is the perfect thing to test it. But if you create a user experience, like having an agent testing it, again, it depends, right? If it's a simple, like if it's a bug, then it's like obvious how it should work. You kind of settle the experience. But when you implement something new, you don't know if you found the right experience until you actually test it. Yeah, by the way, I wanted this to have like two-way. Yeah, so one interesting thing, I don't have the UI. So like, for example, for the implement UI, it's updating the complete state on every turn, like every item it works on. But you can structure your state. This feels like there's so many things about this that is about state management, which I think why I find it so fun to work on. So you can set a completed field on each item, right? But if you do that, then the agent has to update the full list of items every time, like create all the tokens again. But if you have a separate state called completed items, and for example, it's an index array of indexes or indices, is that how you put it? Anyways, then it only needs to update because set state is partial. So you can let it only like update that array, which is kind of nice. So you can structure your state in a way that's more efficient. Oh my god. Yeah, maybe I should start actually recording locally. And then I haven't thought about that. Maybe I should start doing that. I can also record locally when I live stream, and then I can create these edited videos. Maybe that's more interesting. I haven't thought about that. We're gonna try that next time. Done. Let's see how that looks. Oh, look at this. We could also start the preview immediately as it mounts. I didn't think about that. Okay, nice. So we're gonna annotate bloop. Oh, there's nothing in there. Oh, look at that. You even have that little one there. Okay, let's take a picture of this. So the general changes looks amazing, though when I take a picture, it doesn't really take a picture of anything. Maybe that is actually why it failed the last time. It wasn't anything about the images, it's what it took a picture of. Yeah, do you see what's wrong here? Also, it would be nice when starting the agent, starting the preview agent, that if there is no preview already running, when we render the preview agent, if there is no preview already running, then just start it immediately. Yeah, this is kind of cool. And then we have filter. Yeah, these are computed. That's kind of cool. Let's see if we can figure this out. So one thing that would be cool on implement is that you would also kind of get the diff. Before it applies it. There's something about that. But I'm a little bit unsure how to express that in a good way. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, Retina. Nice. Okay, let's clear it. Bloop. Just be careful, because I think when I move between the agents, it's gonna kind of remount the preview. So if it's like a one-shot effect, it might run again. So it needs to, like, in that effect, we have to check if it's starting the preview or it's already been started. Bum, 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 bum. I wonder if it's possible to download. So I've been streaming a bit to YouTube on this project, and I'm noticing that when I stream, there's a lot of empty content. And I was thinking about creating some edited videos from them. I'm using Ecamm, so I can record locally while I stream. But I haven't done that on a couple of other streams. Is it possible to like download the video from YouTube and edit it and then re-upload like that edited version? Okay, cool. Now we can test it. All right. Preview starts it immediately. Amazing. All right. Let's try to annotate now. Capture. Oh, look at that. Okay. So if we go to the implement agent, let's go and grab information from the preview. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, look at that in the filter. In the filter button group, replace the first plain text label all with content that renders an icon, symbol, or accessible. Well, I guess it's not wrong. Replace the first plain text label all. Yeah, I don't think that renders an icon. I don't think that's really the issue. That's interesting. I think the issue is just the color of the text. Yeah, exactly. And we can go back, and now it's fixed. Look at that. Amazing. Okay, cool. I think I'm gonna drop off. But that's cool that we got that working. What's the? I think maybe the next thing is that I want to create a mono repo of the project, so we have the SDK. Like if people want to create stateful, like agent experiences based on state, they can use the SDK for that. And then this is another tool in that repo. Yeah. It's kind of cool because you can do absolutely anything here. Like you can even create like an agent that does like creates components. Yeah, that designs different components, and you can like create this interactivity where you render them. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, either it's like very limited what you can do, or it's like incredibly powerful what you can do. Anyways, that was kind of cool. Yeah, and what's kind of interesting here is that yeah, because the state here is the annotations. I could like just write to the agent and it would create annotations for me. I feel like it's a very natural way to interact. It's kind of cool. Anyways, I guess that's it for now. Did it say? Yes, absolutely. There are your download it, editing, and re-upload. Yeah. Yeah, and code generations. It's ready for YouTube Studio, content, or the stream, 3 dots. Yeah, it isn't a pristine source, but yeah, that's fine. Oh. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to try that. Anyways, that's it for now. Bye-bye.